So that's why the Russians are trying to exploit the situation. And actually, it was a successful psyop of the Russian Federation to inject this 28-point plan as sort of agreed with Americans. And then to see the reaction and try to find the division lines between the Europeans and Americans and within the this administration.
The Prime Minister and other Western leaders have pushed back against Donald Trump's original 28-point peace plan, and it appears that Ukraine's allies have produced an amended version. Well, Alexander Khara is Executive Director of the Centre for Defence Strategies, and he joins me now from Kyiv, where at least 6 people were killed in Russian airstrikes overnight. Alexander, hello.
Hello, Hugo.
Thank you for being with us. What can you tell us about the latest version of this plan proposed by Ukraine?
I believe that there is no slim chance of this war to be over anytime soon for the structural things, not what we can see on the surface, all those 28 proposals of Russia and then the counter proposals from the European side. The Russians believe they can carry on with war, even though they are not advancing as fast as they wished for. But anyway, they can waste 100,000 lives of their soldiers for 500 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory and showing to Europeans and Americans that Russia is unstoppable. And they have some rationale behind that because they see that the United States are not willing to bet on Ukraine and properly support it. Recently, the spokesperson of the White House said that America is not going to help Ukraine internally, and even selling weapons to Europeans that finally end up in Ukraine is not an option. So that's why the Russians are trying to exploit the situation. And actually, it was a successful psyop of the Russian Federation to inject this 28-point plan as sort of agreed with Americans. And then to see the reaction and try to find the division lines between the Europeans and Americans and within this administration. And we've seen, for example, the reaction of G.D. Vance, Vice President, towards the comments of Mitch McConnell. He was criticized for not believing that this 28-point plan may succeed because Mitch McConnell is experienced politician and he understands that Russia is not going to digest that, and there is no willingness on part of Russia to stop this war. So nothing has changed actually, except of the Europeans shows once again they understand the goals of Russia and they are rallying behind Ukraine and trying to help us to pursue Donald Trump to be rather on our side than on the Russian side.
So, I mean, should we understand then that this new Ukrainian-backed plan, I mean, is that perhaps then for the best of reasons doing the same thing? There's very little chance, there's almost no chance of the Kremlin accepting it. Is it just Ukraine setting out its stall for the benefit of the Americans, for the benefit of the Europeans?
Well, we cannot afford losing the United States, even that Donald Trump stop supplying us with assistance and weapons. He at least shares intelligence and provides us with defense material on the expense of Europeans. So we should not, irritate him, and that's why Zelensky didn't reject these stupid ideas that Ukraine need to cede its territory, limit its sovereignty, and then install the Russian leverage over Ukraine in view of the Russian Orthodox Church or Russian language as a second state language in Ukraine. So he just was forced to play this game, but in reality, I don't think that even Zelensky believes that it's possible to have a peace plan. And actually, I'll tell just two things, theoretical things, but they're really important to understand. We understand that Russians' goal to Ukraine are twofold: to control Ukraine or demolish our statehood, and second, to convert all those losses of people and material into the better position of Russia on the political scene in Europe and elsewhere. So for that reason, there are only 4 options any war can be stopped. It's either outright defeat over the side, and it's not in card for Ukraine and unfortunately for Russia. The second thing, it's win-win. It's traditionally a European way of finding a compromise and then keeping to it. The third option is that one side believes that further conflict will not bring the desired result while you are losing resources. It's which not the case with Putin, as I said, that he wants to convert this war and the results of this war into the new geopolitical stand of Russia. And finally, if one of the sides is not able to carry on war because of the economic reason or political turbulence at home. So I believe our strikes against the Russian energy infrastructure aimed at particularly the thing that we aim to undermine the Russian ability to carry out this war. And finally, the other thing that I wanted to say is so-called the Nash equilibrium. It means that in the theory of games, when there are sides, and one side may change its strategy, but it will not affect the strategies of other players, and it means that we cannot change the outcome of this game. So Ukraine wants to change the, let's say, strategy, but unfortunately, neither our American partners, who are happy to sell weapons to Europeans and believe that this war is not affecting them, or Europeans are not ready to take responsibility and step up their, let's say, involvement in the war. I'm not talking about boots on the ground. I'm talking about other things, starting from the frozen assets that we badly need to finance this war. And the Chinese are pretty happy to buy Russia on cheap and get more leverage and actually they achieve other strategic goal of keeping the European resources locked in Europe, not in the Pacific. So that's why it's a stalemate from very different levels, and the Europeans need to do something if they believe that the results of this war will affect their, let's say, well-being and security in the future.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Alexander Khara there. He's the Executive Director of the Centre for Defence Strategies, joining me from Kyiv.
No, not my part. No, we'd like to get to peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended. One way or the other, we have to get it ended. So we're working.
Are you willing to believer?
Well, then he can continue. Then he can continue to fight his little heart out. Person. Okay, thank you very much.